was an attempted armed robbery.
So you got
It was two guys, attempted armed robbery. So what they do in Washington is as I learned on my first day there, because David Ford taught me all about it, is they try to engage you with, hey man, you got a cigarette? Hey man, you got a light, like that, to get you to stop in your tracks, right? And and I would oftentimes, give a guy $1 or whatever. If he looked destitute, was I'd gotten my paycheck cashed and or deposited half of it, put the other half in my pocket. I was out for a big night on Capitol Hill, and I don't like paying for parking in Washington, and I'm not scared to go anywhere. So I parked 3 blocks over in the hood. That's not where I got robbed. I got robbed on South Capitol Street, about 2 blocks away from the Hawk and Dove, which is where I was going, or Clyde's, I forget which one. Or maybe it was a block. It was a block over. So I wasn't on the main drag. I wasn't on South Capitol. I was one and a half blocks over. But I wasn't parked. It wasn't where I was parked. I was walking toward where I was going, and two guys, walking toward me, and as they got closer, they were like, "Hey, man, you got a cigarette?" So I stopped, started pulling out a cigarette. One guy stuck the gun in my midsection, and of course, whenever a gun's put, on your body, your first reaction, for me, the first reaction is to move the gun away from your body. And so I grabbed him like this, and as I'm pushing his arm away from my gut, he pulled the trigger. I kicked him in the nuts. I elbowed him in the neck. The smaller guy had a pair of homemade brass knuckles, so it wasn't knuckles that wrapped around each finger. It was where you could hold it like this, but it was a straight, sharp bar like that. And he hit me between the eyes with it. I was in a rage. So when you're fighting for your life, like I was in a rage. I kicked the shit out of both of them. I left them both bleeding in the gutter, moaning and groaning, and drove myself to Arlington Hospital. And I did not want general anesthesia because I didn't want the police to be called while I was out, because a gunshot wound necessitates a call to law enforcement. I didn't want law enforcement called because in Washington D.C., if you beat two guys half to death for shooting you, you're the one that gets prosecuted. And I did not want to end up in the Washington Post ear section, which is the gossip column, and I didn't want to end up in the Washington Star gossip column. So when the physician said, "Well, you're lucky it's not that deep. I can put you under, or I can give you a local," and I said, "Give me a local." And after he took it out with, he had to slice it open a little bit, got it out with a pair of like hemostats or whatever. Said he had to call law enforcement, and it's the one of two times I ever pulled my credentials out and said, "Yeah, we're not calling the police." It's one of two times I ever used my credentials to get out of something.
Dude, that is a fucking crazy story. But correct me if I'm wrong. Most of the time, when you have two guys up on you, you want them to go real deep. Welcome to the Reckoning Brothers podcast. That was a wonderful story, man. I can't believe that really happened to you, dude. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, that
is like, I give you a lot of shit, but that is fucking insane, dude.
And to this day, I don't have any idea, how badly. And thankfully, I'd been around Secret Service agents for long enough that pretty good at self-defense, but it wasn't being any good at self-defense that helped me through that saved my ass from getting shot a second time or whatever, or getting beaten, or me getting beaten half to death. It was the rage of it. Was the what's the term I'm looking for, Scott? Survive.
Self-preservation kicked in, right?
Yeah.
The adrenaline.
Yeah, the adrenaline, and a bullet burns. It's hot.
Mm.
And one thing that'll pep you up real quick is a burning piece of lead in your midsection. You know,
Nice.
you can smell it.
I bet you when you met those guys, you were just looking for something burning coming into your rear section. But it's not how
he was going for the reach around.
You know, I'm not saying what I was doing in that neighborhood at that point in time.
You wanted to talk a little bit about the modern Trump cleanup of Washington D.C. before we got into some other stuff.
Well,
that story's a great lead into that, by the way. How much different is it? Let me ask you that. How much different in your last trip to Washington D.C. from that with the 80s or whenever it was you got shot? Was there a different feel? Does it feel more crime ridden to you when you were there?
Washington D.C. literally has no-go zones. Like you do not want to be at the Navy Yard at night at Brentwood, Anacostia, and a half a dozen other neighborhoods, Columbia Heights, Southeast DC, Southwest DC, all kinds of neighborhoods you do not want to be in at night. It's extremely dangerous. And the narrative about, well, crime's way down, so this is just all performance art by Trump, blah blah blah. But crime has been a 30-year low. Crime at a 30-year low. So if you look at the Washington Post headlines 30 years ago, guess what you're going to read? Washington D.C., the murder capital of the United States and the murder capital of the world. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about when you're going, crime is at its lowest point in 30 years, when all you got to do is look at the headlines from 30 years and go, okay, big whoop. All right. No, DC is a dangerous city, and they've been busted manipulating crime stats. Right? There's all kind. You don't have to believe me. You can Google it. Right? Anybody out there listening can Google it. Our DC police, DC commander, manipulating crime stats at the orders of city leadership. But let me just take it a little bit further. This is a headline from July 22nd, 2025. Now that's 20 minutes ago.
Close enough.
Yeah, this is from Channel 9. This is from the CBS affiliate in Washington. Halfway through 2025, DC is still seeing dozens of kids shot. A 1-year-old girl was shot and injured in Southeast DC Monday night, weeks after a 3-year-old girl was shot and killed. One thing's for sure, where these patrols are happening right now, kids will not be shooting each other. And you can keep repeating over and over and over, military occupation, Trump's mercenaries, etc., etc. But don't tell me you care about kids or crime or public safety if you have a problem with kids not getting shot, because I don't fucking believe you.
They care about their politics. Can I tell a story?
Yeah, please.
Through my work, I went to I do a lot of jobs in South Central, all over LA.
Yeah.
Went to this really bad neighborhood. The side of this apartment building was shot up, right? Bullet holes everywhere. Go inside and talk to the woman who's living there. Turns out she was she's 19 years old at the time. She had a kid who was like 3. And she had some beef with some other people. So one of these other rival people came and just shot at this woman's apartment.
Right.
And I look at where all the bullet holes and everything are. And she's explaining to me where her kid was sleeping on the couch in the living room. And there's bullet holes right next to it, right next to it, right next to it. I mean, but for the grace of God, something could have happened to that kid.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to this lady, and she's like, I fucked up. This is awful. I can't believe what I did, put my kid into this, and just, it's such a bizarre thing to witness somebody coming to this realization shortly after something like that. It just shows you that there are neighborhoods, just like you said, no-go zones. There are places that if you're just some Midwestern run-of-the-mill middle-class person, these really exist. And I wish everybody would have an experience like mine, or even more drastic like yours, to just show you, hey, this is real. It's not a game for you to play your little online stupid fucking politics shit. This is real. If you want to pay attention and care, understand these stories and put everything into a real perspective, because that shit's real for that lady.
Seriously, man.
She doesn't want it. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want that world.
If you're more worried about, if you care more about a few uniforms on the street than you do about dead kids, kindly go fuck yourself. Kindly go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
The people, more police on the street is not breaking the law, right? And in a lot of cases, people want more policing. We've seen all these polls.
Well, the argument for the online argument is, look, they got these Humvees and they got guys and, they got National Guard guys in uniforms and, there's troops on the streets, occupation, etc. All incendiary rhetoric, right? Yeah, of course they're wearing uniforms. They're in the National fucking Guard. Right.
I'll tell you where I would have more sympathy. If these people in the uniforms and these tanks were going after people saying shit online like British police do, I'd have a serious fucking problem.
Yeah.
But when they're sitting there protecting innocent people from violent crime, you know what? If you want to make the arguments against Trump overreaching and we'll have that conversation, I might agree with you on a lot of that shit
in an honest way.
But do it in an honest way.
Have that conversation and do it honestly. At least be honest enough to say, well, yeah, I'm against National Guard troops, but but everyone saying that, right? We're also part of the defund the police movement. They're also the ones saying that police departments need social workers to be sent to domestic violence.
Yeah, because you want a bunch of dead social workers, because that's what you're going to fucking get.
Yeah, right?
It's like what you said before about logical consistency. When you and I disagreed on deportation, you gave me credit for having logical consistency, because I said, I don't care who it is that does it. I'll say the same thing to Trump that I'll say to Obama. It makes no fucking difference. It's the consequences that really matter. And these people that you're talking about, the online keyboard warriors, they don't care about consequences. They care about their side winning. They don't care about truth. They don't care about honesty. They will say whatever to score themselves points, to give themselves that little bit of fucking dopamine they get because their pathetic fucking ass is typing away.
What makes it, and what makes likes. And what makes it worse is when the media. What makes it infinitely worse is when the media participates in it. So here's a New York Times reporter. He's the chief White House correspondent. He's not a columnist. His name's Peter Baker. The Washington Post tracked where Trump's forces are patrolling Washington. Spoiler alert, they're not where the crime is. The motherfucker cropped off Anacostia, which is where there are these patrols are now happening, because he has a narrative that he has to, that he feels compelled to spread. And so, somebody replied, and thank goodness for this guy. I know you're a New York Times hack and facts aren't really your thing, but here's the DC government's own crime heat map. Cross-reference that with the map you posted. You don't know jack shit about DC crime. Got fucking dunked because he's a fucking liar. And I just, it's one thing.
Truth doesn't matter to these people. The narrative matters to these people. Winning matters to these people.
It's one thing if you're second generation Department of Education online influencer, and boy have I got a quote for you. Funny that this person became the meme of, the meme about real communism's never been tried?
Yes.
This person is the meme. Funny that you think that the Soviets or China or Cuba are communist.
So what do you call people that say they're communist? Not communists? Like what's what do you say?
I mean,
what are they then?
What do you say to somebody who believes that Stalin wasn't a communist, or Castro or Cuba or Mao?
I'd say that is a person who is so in their own shit that they're just coming up with things to say that they think might make themselves sound clever to a few people online, even though it's completely divorced from reality, because reality is not important. Understanding like second, third order consequences, all this shit that we talk about all the time isn't important. It's just, hey, I may score some points with this fucking bullshit.
It's a complete denial of objective reality. And of course, and I think I mentioned, my online nemesis. So he posted a video of some.
Do you have an online nemesis?
Who you have, but can you name your online nemesis again? I forget her name.
Evan loves Worf.
I love the fact that you have an online nemesis. Like, who the fuck has a nemesis? You have a nemesis.
Right. Yeah.
Who has one of those?
Who has a fucking nemesis?
Well,
you're the only person I know in my life that has a nemesis.
I don't
it's
mean
awesome.
it literally, Scott. I don't mean.
No, you mean it literally. You mean it like you are like you're Lex Luthor and he's Superman. I don't know why it's not the other way around, but it's just
the
funnier that way to me.
The point of it is how quickly you said his name. Like that's exactly what
Okay, well, if you guys want to,
that means it's a nemesis, dude. You have a fucking nemesis.
Okay, if you guys want to dunk on Mark, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But
dude, you're misreading this. You're misreading this. I think it's awesome that you have a nemesis. It's just fucking bizarre.
Okay, well, yeah, I did misread that.
It's bizarre, but it's not fucking. Doesn't mean it's not awesome.
You have a nemesis. Cool. That's awesome.
It is fucking cool. Yeah, Superman, Batman, they have an arch nemesis, and then Mark.
You know,
he's got a.
So what the guy does is he put up this video of from some guy with the Chinese Communist Party doing CCP propaganda, and it shows some middle-aged women. They're playing the drums, and he headlines it with, "Look at these not very old retirees who don't have to work until the day they die." You know, and I'm like, dude.
I'm sorry, you can't see Mark, but Josh has his hand raised.
Yeah,
I think he wanted to say something.
Does this guy know he's your nemersis? Because if we call him out on here and tag him or something in it.
Well, yeah, he hates me because I bury this motherfucker once a week at least. I mean, I fucking bury his ass.
Okay, I was just curious because we could just put in a little hashtag and say,
if he replies back to me, it'll get 700 likes or whatever, and I don't care about that. I've buried him so many times. He thinks he's a really good person, a compassionate, progressive, liberal, leftist, communist. You know, he does horrible things. About 2 months ago, a guy who ran a tool and die shop in Michigan got stabbed to death at a company meeting, and this motherfucker took the Luigi character, right, and everybody knows that's a reference to the Mangione guy. Took a screenshot of the Luigi character where somebody made a meme out of it called "You've just been Luigi." So, some guy who runs a tool and die shop gets stabbed at his work, and this guy does "You've just been Luigi," right? He's a horrible.
When do we get to the point where we're cheering on something like that?
I mean,
fucking Mark's nemesis does. Hey, does your nemesis know that you guys are nemesises?
Yeah,
to each other.
Yeah, he does. And I
just asked that question.
Well, yeah, he does. And
I didn't. Josh, I'm sorry. I never pay attention to things you say, but I love it.
Again, because he pays bot farms for engagement, etc., and I don't. So I forget what it was. Oh, he was mad at Leonardo DiCaprio because he has younger girlfriends, right? Or something like that, right?
You mean he's jealous of Leonardo DiCaprio? Damn. The drama of you and your nemesis going back and forth is probably worth a full fucking
that's
episode.
Very interesting. I didn't know that.
So
going into
my nemesis,
you have questions.
To my nemesis today, and then we'll get off. Then we'll get off with to my nemesis today. So in reply,
it keeps going.
Who says that? Nobody. God broke the mold with you, man. I don't know a single other human being, nor does a human being I know a human being that would ever say, my nemesis today did.
Well, we do now.
XYZ. No, it's amazing. Please understand, I'm not shit-talking you. It's amazing. It's just fucking insanely unique.
Well,
if you saw this person, this nemesis, face to face, what would you do? I
want to debate.
I would say you would buy him a drink, but
yeah, of course I would.
What would he do?
Oh, he
come at you with a machete?
No, so he would do the whole shtick that he does online, which is you're a homophobe, you're a racist, etc.
What if it's just the two of you and you're at a coffee shop and you run into each other and you come at him like, hey, look, why don't we just sit down and talk and chill? We're in human face to face. Do you think he would react that way?
I guarantee he would say, I'm not going to share space with a racist Nazi like you. That's what his reply would be.
That's sad.
So he put up the video of, from the CCP showing, middle-aged Chinese women having this, really fun time playing the drums in a classroom somewhere. And he headlines it with, "Look how young everyone is here. In America, you just have to keep working until you die." And my reply to him was, the great thing about China is you can be a slave picking cotton, be in a re-education camp for criticizing the government, be one of the 2 million dead people a year from air pollution, and experiment on coronaviruses that cause worldwide pandemics that kill 20 million people in 200 countries. Now, that they can't bring themselves to acknowledge that there are consequences of living in a totalitarian dictatorship. Because they've seen fun videos.
Scott, I think our mission, and I'm just gonna put a benchmark on it, but I think our mission for the next 12 months should be to get Mark and this Nemesis in a room.
Mark and his Nemesis to what?
In a room.
At least to talk face to face through Zoom or
And
something.
we'll film it. I think that'd be fantastic.
Oh, I'd love.
You'd have to come at him with nothing but open hands and doves, though. I mean, it can't be animosity. Otherwise, he's never going to want to talk to you.
I don't dislike him. I don't have any animosity towards him. I just like.
You have
called him your nemesis.
Huh?
You called him your nemesis.
Again, I mean, I'm like, I almost. But you get your phone and do. What's the exact dictionary definition of nemesis?
Alexa, what's the dictionary definition of nemesis?
Etc. For more. Ask me to give you more
What's it say? You define by something
that a person cannot conquer, achieve, etc.
Yeah, I don't.
For more, ask me.
Alexis is a fucking bitch. I hate that fucking.
No, AI is so much better than Alexa. That's the way to go.
There's a new Alexa coming out though. It's Alexa Plus, which
it's gonna suck fucking ass.
I'm really.
All right, I had questions for you guys, but we're like 27 minutes in, and I've enjoyed every second of this and everything that I've learned. So I'm just gonna go with a real quick question.
Yeah.
To the both of you.
Yeah, please.
Do you guys think free will is real?
Yes. I have free will.
Josh is pondering. I love it.
I struggle with that one.
I have free will to fillet this bottle of.
I have an inclination. Shut up. I have an inclination of destiny, but like Mark is destined to deep throat that bottle.
Mark's just destined to deep throat. I think, how some people get sexual pleasure through, their sexual organs. Mark actually feels it in the back of his head. So whether it be like a huge penis or just gargling on fucking alcohol, it doesn't really matter. That's where his sexual organ is.
That's where my G spot is.
Exactly what I meant. But you guys are wrong. Free will is not real. It's not real. It's an illusion.
I paused and hesitated. What is your...
Tell me why it's an illusion.
Because we have things like corpus callosotomies, a split brain experiment, iodine deficiencies in the brain. There's ways that science can prove and fuck with someone's brain to make it not work. And I think that's just one of the many reasons why if you're prevented from making a decision, you can't have that decision. Also, the brain, think about the brain is an excuse-making machine, right? We do what we do because of cause and effect. Atoms bump into each other, right? And they cause effects. I think what our brain, our consciousness is doing a lot of the time is making excuses for what we've done. And Josh and I have talked about split brain experiments, things like this on here before. I think if we look into that, it just proves that it's not a real thing. But also, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sam Harris has a great quote where he says, Sam Harris does not believe that free will is a real thing, but he says, if you want to be a doctor, you have to go to medical school. Whether free will is real or not, hey, guess what? If you want to be a doctor, you got to go through medical school and do all that shit. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Free will or not, the world is what it is, and you have to do what you need to do to get those outcomes. But it's still not real.
Granny Clampett didn't have to go to medical school.
She also bottled castor oil.
Granny Clampett didn't have to go to medical school.
Is that from the Beverly Hillbillies? That is probably the first time that the Beverly Hillbillies has ever been introduced. Conversation
I don't know.
about
Scott is always the very smart and handsome Jew, isn't he?
I'm not gonna.
not compared to most smart and handsome Jews. They're like if you look at like the famous ones, they're up here, and I'm just like bottom feeding, just trying to get scraps of info, and try
Well,
to make a fucking argument
that
out
was
of it.
very interesting. It was a very interesting take on free will, and I agree with it.
It feels real. I will give you that. Free will feels real as shit.
I think of free will as living in a Western country with democratic capitalism and free elections, and that nobody who who is able bodied and productive has a productive personality will want for much of anything if they live in a Western democratic capitalist country.
You turned a free will discussion into a pro capitalism, pro Western
God damn
civilization
it.
statement, which is pretty great. You're saying freedom and liberty, not free will, but I of course agree with you everything that you said. Here's what I kind of want to.
Do I have these two concepts? Am I conflating two different things?
A little bit, yes, I think so. You're conflating freedom and liberty with free will.
So explain to me what free will is then, Scott, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Free will is the fact that your brain comes up with a decision to do something and you do it, and that's real. It comes from some kind of ghost in the machine or something that comes up with an idea, and then you decide to do it, and you do it, and you can will it to happen or whatever. But I'm saying that's not real, and everything is destined. In that, even us thinking we're making a decision, we kind of are making a decision, but it's really just our brain kind of processing what's happening. But Josh, I'm kind of interested in what you have to say because you come from a religious background. We've talked about we can say that your dad's a minister, right? And we talked about that before.
Yeah.
We're cool with saying that. So you're raised in that environment. And first of all, your parents are cool as shit. I think your parents are awesome. And they're really, really interesting people. And they're not like Bible thumping, right? They're maybe a little bit, but they don't come across as dickheads to me.
They live their faith,
They do.
Which is they're very kind and compassionate and charitable to everybody from all walks of life, and
go out of their way
to help anybody. So yeah, they're not judgmental. Evangelicals burn the gays. Well, so
exactly.
Yeah,
they're not Fred.
Yeah.
Fred Phelps.
Yeah.
Or whatever that guy's name is.
But
they raised you.
Religion has to do with predetermination.
Religion is free will is paramount. Religion is free will and religion, I think, go hand in hand. I think that religion is saying you have free will, so you need to make the right decisions. I think that's what religion's really all about at its core.
I mean, from a biblical perspective, yes, there's free will that's given to us by our Creator, and that determines how we live our lives. But I don't think it's necessarily a religious thing. I think what you're talking about is a destiny. You have set markers in life that you achieve, and they're predetermined for you. That's where I'm a little conflated on.
Do you believe that, Scott?
I believe that there is no free will, and I believe that everything is pretty much set in motion just because of cause and effect. It's just really complex.
Do you think it's set in motion by providence?
It could be. How it's set in motion could be providence. We could all be in a simulation. All of that could be possible. I don't think we have any way to know.
So, ever since 1999, what was it, The Matrix? Was that 99?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 99.
Ever since then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a battery.
You know what? Matrix, Fight Club came out in the same year. Remember that? Fucking wild. Anyways.
I was going to mention earlier, you said the word clever. And one of my favorite quotes from Fight Club is, how's that working out for you? And the guy says, "What are you talking about? Being clever."
Mm,
I love that line.
Yeah. All right. So
Brad Pitt, man.
now I have a couple questions for you, Scott. And this, I think we'll close out.
Sure.
We'll close out after this. Um, at age 14 and at age 23, at both ages, did you know who Doc Holliday was?
Yes. Get drilling. Do it.
Yeah, I think I probably. Well, it depends on when Tombstone came out.
That's a good point.
Did you know? Did you know who Wyatt Earp was when you were 14?
Yeah, I probably knew who he was at. I probably knew who he was
Did
at
you know
14.
what the Pony Express was when you were 14?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Did you know what? Had you ever heard of? Had you ever heard of Wild Bill Hickok? Wild Bill Hickok when you were 14?
I'm sure I did.
Had you ever heard of Buffalo Bill? Annie Oakley?
Yeah.
Jesse James.
Annie Oakley.
Jesse
Yeah,
James.
for sure.
Okay.
Billy the Kid, all that shit.
Okay. Had you ever heard of?
Wait, I mean, yeah, right around the same time period. What Young Guns was out? That
Young Guns came out in the 80s, so yeah, I would have.
that's a little bit of a precursor
But
to that. So,
well, let's not pretend that he knows about that because he saw 2 movies. You learned about those things in school, did you not?
Probably. That makes sense. Sure.
So I know. So one of my colleagues is a 3rd-year college student, very smart, very bright. He's going to make somebody a really, really talented
Sugar Daddy.
video editor. 3 years in the Navy. Nice family. Nice. I call him a kid. He's a grown man. He's kind of like a little brother. Whatever.
You got another little brother? What's up with that?
Another little brother.
Yeah, he's got like 35 of them, dude.
Another little brother.
And only one Nemesis, dude. You gotta fucking.
I'm very blessed to have lots of friends. I really.
And only one Nemesis.
And only one Nemesis. He didn't know who he had never heard of. Yeah, I want to take it a step further. It's not that he just didn't know who they were. He had never heard these words: the Pony Express, the Transatlantic Railroad, Wild Bill Hickok, Tombstone, Gunfight at the OK Corral, Annie Oakley, George Custer, William Tecumseh Sherman. He didn't know who Ulysses S. Grant was.
That's where I have a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I have a problem with it.
But that
Not learning about the Old West, yes, it seems fucked up, but it's not like the end of the world. Not learning who Ulysses S. Grant was seems like his education failed him. I wouldn't say the same if he didn't know about the Wild West figures. But still, what did he learn in place of that? That's what I want to know.
You know,
Who took that place?
it's not just Wild West figures. I'm not trying to focus on Wild West figures. Everybody should know what the Pony Express was. And
True.
And I will ask you, Scott, how, and this is going to surprise you because you're not going to know the answer to it. How long did we have the Pony Express?
It was probably a short amount of time. I'm going to guess less than 20 years.
18 months.
18 months.
18 months.
Wow.
really?
A year and a half. The Pony Express lasted a year and a half.
That
Mm.
feels like it was much longer than that. Just by
I know because I was there. It did feel a little bit longer.
you were pretty old.
So,
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So I think everybody understands I'm making a larger point, which is we don't teach civics, we don't teach history. All right. The reason why people run around talking about housing is a human right, or water is a human right, or food is a human right, is because they've never the first and second generation of the Department of Education failed those generations completely. They never read a decent civics book if they read one at all.
Here's, I mean, let me.
Human
let
right.
me-
No, let me just finish my thought. Human rights are your inalienable rights. Those are the rights you're born with. Those are the rights you're granted at the moment of birth by providence. Human rights. Anything that requires labor or time or energy or resources or talent of somebody else is not a human right. Those are socio-political contracts that we make. We make socio-political contracts and give things to people who can't afford food, who can't afford housing, etc. But nobody has a human right to housing, and nobody has a human right to food. You have a human right, at least in this country. Your human rights are basically laid out in the first 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights. Go ahead, Scott.
I want to go.
Let's let Josh go.
So I'm gonna do this, and we're just gonna make this a recurring thing. This is a TikTok I was gonna send Scott, but I didn't send it because he doesn't have TikTok. But it was a man on the street, and he says to a person in Washington D.C., "What state is Washington D.C. in?" And they say, "Washington, the state of Washington." That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Is exactly what you're talking about there. The
Civics.
education system,
Basic civics.
fucking fail.
Basic civics and basic knowledge.
That person should not be allowed to walk around the street.
And they shouldn't be allowed to do anything except be dropped from a helicopter.
All right, now we're getting into.
Yeah, of course
It is frightening. I agree. It's frightening. I don't know what I can do about it, but backpack funding seems like a good thing. I like that idea of bringing back choice to parents in where they go to school. Backpack funding is tax dollars go to a child, and then the parents get to decide with that money how to spend it for their education.
Well, and I think they're finally
kind of like vouchers, yeah.
And there finally is, after many, many decades, after 5-6 decades, well, certainly at least 4 decades of the Department of Education. So there finally is a pushback on revisionist history and getting back to basics in education. If you pull it, honest to God, if you read, I found a civics book, an 8th or 9th grade civics book that I read that was assigned to me in 8th or 9th grade. And I skimmed it, and I don't know a single college student that knows any of it.
Oh.
Like literally any of it, much less any 8th or 9th grader that I know. Like, we just come so far afield of what I think, which I believe are basic things people should be taught. So on that note, and on this swig,
we conclude our 43 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah, we didn't really get into any of the questions, which is fine. We'll try next time.
Your second question.
No, we're done.
No, we got to be done. We got to be done. You guys, free will isn't real, and Mark has a nemesis who he needs to get in touch with, and you've been shot, which is fucking insane. And no, kids don't learn about civics anymore. And I got to come up with a title. And I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Good night, Scott.
Good night.